All right, it's another episode. Today's episode, hopefully your episode of your Daily Scrum, right? Because it is by and for you, as we are now fully engaged in your questions.
Mm-hmm.
And we got another one. A good friend of the show, Jodie, she left us a great comment on one of our other videos on YouTube. So check out the comment section below. Leave your questions somewhere in this space below. And it's likely to turn into a video because we can't stop, won't stop. We're going to keep doing this.
What's the song you just referenced there?
I'm not going to quote it. Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah. Well, I guess in one of the previous videos, I mentioned TLC, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
And it's still going in my head.
Is that a Scrum Master theme song?
Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls?
We have our product owner theme song.
Yeah.
Maybe, did I just declare that during this?
I think so. I think
this episode of your Daily Scrum,
the Scrum Master anthem is "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls."
Wow,
I think you did it. You're a trendsetter, Johnny.
There goes my one thing of 2021. That's my one idea of 2021. It's gone.
You just used up your best idea of the year. Darn it.
No.
Well.
Okay.
All right. I guess I gotta do the thinking the rest of the year, huh?
Yeah. Well, it happened. So it happened, everyone. You got it.
No pressure, huh? Good job, Todd. You used your one good thought of the year on TLC.
I'm just gonna walk around proud all day about it, and then be miserable the next 10 months. Right?
Well, let's see if we can get the mojo back. We got a great question from Jodie. She's a big supporter of the show. Great former student of ours, and she sent a question without the 3 questions in the Scrum Guide. How do we have a meaningful daily Scrum? I think there's a lot of people wondering this. The latest Scrum Guide update tore the 3 questions out and basically said, go forth and do good things in the daily Scrum, right? And so now people are wondering, well, what do we do without the 3 questions? And first of all, I just want to reiterate, you're allowed to still use the 3 questions, right? Now, that may not be necessarily what Todd and I recommend, but you are still allowed to use the 3 questions. And so just because they were taken out does not mean they're banned. You're not going to Scrum jail for using them, but there might be some more interesting ways to create a meaningful daily Scrum experience. What would you think there, Todd?
I think that I'm hoping that this change in the Scrum Guide has me not having to observe a bunch of zombies standing in a circle and answering 3 questions so they can get out of a room as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's the anti-pattern.
It's been years since I've facilitated and or participated in a daily Scrum using the 3 questions. I just don't think that it is conducive to us inspecting progress towards the sprint goal and adapting a plan for the next 24 hours. So I think for starters, Ryan, you have a pretty good idea that we're going to bring up straight away, right?
Yeah, let me show this idea, and we're not sure how this is going to work out with the video, so we're trying something here. I think I'm blocked and Todd's still visible, which works just fine for us.
I'm staring right at it.
Maybe I should. All right. Maybe I'm over here like, what's this? What do we do?
Giant banana.
So I'll scoot over a little bit. This represents item aging. And I'm a big fan of item aging becoming one of the central topics in a daily Scrum. And by item aging, what we're really talking about is how long has a work item, how long has a product backlog item, how long has a task, depending on how you're breaking down your work, how long has it stayed in its current state, right? And we're trying to track. And as you can see, one team here, and we got this off of this came from a blog. This comes from agiletips.blogspot.com. And it's from a September 15th, 2010 post called Latency and Banana. And it's a really cool post. It's something that we talk about in the PSK course, our Professional Scrum with Kanban course. And what basically they would do is they would nail up a banana along with a story. And when the banana got too ripe and the story hadn't moved, they would swarm that work and have a serious conversation about that product backlog item. Todd, perhaps you want to give a little bit more like a professional insight into item aging.
Yeah. So let's remember as we go through sprint planning, right? And we have a sprint backlog. It doesn't necessarily mean that work has started yet. And so from the second that you determine in your workflow that an item is active, an item becomes active, meaning it's in progress, is when we start measuring work item age. And as that item ages, we make it transparent. So in this case, a banana peel shows it. But a great way is to make your sprint backlog and the items that are aging transparent and make a point of inspection during your daily scrum. So if something is aging beyond what your expectations are, ultimately, it'd be great if your expectations were in line with a service level expectation. It's something that we talk about during the PSK course, also something that's in the Kanban guide. But we can deal without that temporarily. We can get to that eventually. Just inspecting work item age. This has been a game changer for daily scrums all across the planet. It's really worth trying. It's very simple to measure. The second something starts, it begins to age, right? The second work begins on something, begins to age. And we just inspect that and we adapt a plan for the next 24 hours. This calls to question a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right. Calls to question a lot of things. Do we have too much work in progress? Are we all working on different things? It's epic. Give it a whirl.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, I think when Todd and I were working, and we actually do get quite a bit of time with Dan Vicanti, when we were talking about item aging with him, we realized we've been doing something similar for years. Right. So I would just put a little tick mark on a PBI for every day that it would stay in its current state. And if it got to be like more than 2 or 3 tick marks on that PBI, we would focus on that during a daily scrum. And Dan was like, well, dude, you're just doing item aging. You just don't know it. And I thought, well, we were just making sure, because you ever see that Post-it, Todd, that's stuck to the board? Mm-hmm. It's just not moving. And that bugged me. And so I know you did similar experiments too. I just wanted to track that. I wanted to bring transparency to it. Mm-hmm. And if it was day 3 or more, the whole team they created their own policy, their own workflow policy, that they would swarm anything that was stuck. Mm-hmm. And it just, like you said, it leads to discussions about WIP limits. It leads to discussions about the way we're working. Are we just a collection of individuals, not a real team? It would lead to some really awesome insights. So I think item aging is one way to have a meaningful daily scrum. And I think that's one good way. I think there's others that we'll probably tackle in future videos, because we're coming up on our time box here.
Yeah. I think one thing worth mentioning, this is very quick. I think we can look at others. We'll probably do one on liberating structures in the daily scrum, which I think are awesome. But ultimately, it's the sprint goal. That's our commitment, right? Yes. It's the sprint goal. That's our commitment. So let's make sure that even if this is something that we're tracking, that ultimately it's achieving the sprint goal is what we're committed to as a Scrum team during this sprint, right? So.
Yeah, regardless of practice, focus on the sprint goal.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll make sure that pops up so that you can't say we didn't warn you.
Yeah.
So regardless of practice, whether it's item aging or liberating structures or the 3 questions, focus on the sprint goal.
Yeah.
All right. Todd, I think that's another episode of your Daily Scrum. What do you think?
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Don't go chasing. No, it's in my head again.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you're not suffering as I am with "Don't go chasing waterfalls" stuck in your head. But if you are, you're welcome. And Todd is giggling about it. So leave your comments below about how mad you are at Todd. And for anything else, if you have questions about Scrum, item aging, even like if you got a little bit of a Kanban question, maybe we'll even take that as well. But it is your daily Scrum, so you decide and we'll answer. Be sure to hit that subscribe and like button so that you know when we release our latest videos. If you're into that kind of thing. Otherwise, check out the videos below. We've curated a nice little group here on the end page for you. But I think that's it for today's Your Daily Scrum. I'm professional Scrum trainer Todd Miller. Todd, who are you?
You actually just called yourself Todd Miller.
I did?
I'm Todd Miller.
No, I'm Todd Miller. Okay.
Take that back.
Now we're just tired. It's time to be done. The item age of this episode is way too high.
It is. Sorry.
For Todd Miller, I'm Ryan. I think I'm Ryan Ripley. I'll check I'll check my shirts or whatever. But all right, I'm Ryan. That's Todd, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow.
See you.